result.
But you're going to hear, what is a caucus?
Well, then guess what? We have a thing, a really cool tool for the 2000, since this decade. It's called the internet. And like everything else, we're without excuse. It takes you 2 seconds. You go to library. Tell me you don't have a computer, go to library. They're free. At my expense, you get free access to the internet. You go on there and you type in caucus and you can learn all you need to do. There's no excuse in this day and age for people to be uneducated.
Absolutely none.
Absolutely no excuse. That's back to call a new concept for most people. It's called personal responsibility, that I take on to educate myself in the process of what's going on, and then I go out there and participate in the process. Our Constitution's very clear. What we're talking about, let's read it. This is the preamble to the Constitution. I gotta get my eyes on here real quickly. But this is the first page of the Minnesota Constitution, which was written in 1857.
Wait. Minnesota Constitution?
Minnesota has a constitution of their own.
Do you know there are many voters out there who do not realize Minnesota has a constitution?
We have a constitution.
We have a constitution. And again, the internet's a wonderful tool. You can go read it.
And this is available on just Minnesota Constitution. It pops right up. And our legislative leaders are responsible by law to follow this, and a lot of times we don't, and what's passed at the state capitol. But I'll read the preamble and the first section one. Preamble is we, the people of the state of Minnesota, not government, but we, the people, grateful to God. Remember, it said this is God. We're grateful to God for our civil, religious liberty and desiring to perpetuate its blessings and secure the same for our offspring, do ordain and establish this Constitution. We the people, not government. And we got to realize that. The government works for us.
Under God.
Under God, with our religious liberty. The Bill of Rights, Article 1 of the Bill of Rights, Section 1. The object of government. Now this is a concept people don't realize is in the law. This is the supreme rule of law in Minnesota. Government is instituted for the security, benefit, and protection of the people, in whom all political power is inherent. The political power is inherent in who? We the people, not government. And we got to realize that. When we realize and put in that application, that principle and that fact, government will put itself where it belongs, which is under our subjection. Together with the right to alter, modify, or reform government whenever required for the public good. So when we as the people decide that there needs to be reform, modification, or altering our form of government, we the people have that right. And the government is subject to that right of we the people. And that's what we got to understand. People have got to get off their backside, get on the internet, and get serious about this. And what's even more annoying to me is how few adults are teaching their kids this. Don't expect public education to do this, even though it's mandated by the Constitution that the only purpose of public education is to keep our republic secure and safe by well-educated people understanding that we have a republic. That's the only purpose of education in Minnesota. That's another subject for another day. We're a long way from that. But people have got to understand what the law is and then articulate that and teach it to their kids. We're so worried about soccer and football and have 40 different sporting events during the year. Our kids have no clue that this even exists. And shame on us as adults for not teaching our kids. That's our obligation. There's no excuse in this country for sitting around with the apathy we have. Absolutely none. And the blame falls on all of us, including me.
Agreed. So Governor Pawlenty just came out with a constitutional amendment. What do you think of that?
To me, it misses the point.
Well, first of all, where's he been for 7 years?
Yeah. It's a proposal to limit spending by the previous revenue year. What if we have a great year? So we spend more money. We have to have a government that's functioning and restricted to the limits of this Constitution. Then we will be able to afford the government. Right now we can't afford the government because everybody and his uncle has their fingers in the pot. And it's always the other guy who's spending too much money at the state capitol or trying to generate too much revenue. And this is what we got to realize. This constitutional amendment is just another gimmick because fundamentally we have to follow what the rule of law is, and then the government will shrink down to a size that the taxes will be reduced. We can talk about lowering taxes, cut spending. Until you eliminate the function of government back to what its purpose is and restrict it there is no recourse for lowering government costs or expenditures.
Maybe we can point out to people that Minnesota is a state of 5 million people.
Correct.
Our general fund budget is $35 billion.
Right, and 12...
More than Wisconsin. Higher than Wisconsin.
You got to also realize that we get about $12 billion a year from the federal government.
Correct. And I haven't even talked about the dedication.
Correct.
That's somewhere else.
Right.
So you're talking...
Or revenue
yeah,
shifting.
They love to shift
Shifting,
revenue.
right.
Yeah. So you're talking over $60 billion
Right.
that the state of Minnesota
By,
spends on Minnesota government.
Every 2 years.
Which is, every 2 years, which is absolutely unbelievable in my opinion. And we hear over and over and over again, we're broke.
Right.
We're broke. $60 billion is not broke.
No.
It's not spending the money in the right places it should be spending
Or
based on our Constitution.
Limit it to the Constitution. And I challenge anybody out there, you talk to your people who are running for office, ask them how they plan on aligning their voting record and their bill introduction to this Constitution. Ask them, flat out. That's your responsibility as a citizen of this country, to participate and ask those questions. If they're not willing to, or if they haven't in the past, you can go on the state website this afternoon and look up the whole voting record for anybody's history in there for the last 30 years 20 or 30 years on the website. Find out where they voted for them. They can tell you all they want during election season, but their voting record tells you where they stand.
So many empty promises. We hear
Yes.
that a new study just came out. 96% of the people believe politicians lie.
I would say 100% of people lie. And
Good point.
And all we're doing is putting people in office that are that articulate what we think we want. But then when we lose our liberties, then we're going, I don't like the results of this.
Exactly.
So in a future show, we'll have to talk about some of those liberties that are lost, they're being lost and being taken away from us.
Oh, there
But
are
I
so
encourage
many
people
of
have
them.
got to participate and get involved. We can't sit around
How can they
anymore.
get involved in your campaign?
TimUtesForHouse.com. You can look it up on the internet. You can call Mona, my campaign manager, but just send us an email and say, hey, I'd like to get involved. You can always give us money. We're always looking for that. I think right now our treasurer said we got maybe $34 in our checking account, and it takes more than $34 to run a state campaign. So
Open your checkbook,
Open
folks.
up your checkbook and get $99.99, $99.95 is what we try and collect from you. You got till December 31st to donate that. You can go online and donate it through PayPal, or you can send us a check. There's an address on there you can send us. Find candidates out there, work your district, because you got to do it now. You can't wait till next November. It'll be too late.
We already have lots of wonderful candidates across the state of Minnesota, liberty-minded candidates, freedom-minded candidates who are actually looking out for we the people, and I'm so happy that I get to help you because you are one of those candidates.
Thank you, Sue. Appreciate it.
So you're going to have about a minute here to wrap things up, and what's your message for the viewers? Tell us.
Get on the internet, take the time to read this Constitution and understand what it means, because that's your responsibility as a citizen of this country. It's a liberty. It's not a right. It's a liberty. And if you don't protect your liberties, you won't have the ability to participate and vote. We're seriously in deep trouble, and people don't realize it. It's one liberty at a time. It's like the old saying, the frog in a pan of water, and they just turn the heat up and they boil to death. The frog doesn't move. And that's what's happened to us in this country. And we have a lot, and the blame falls on us. And we have to get off our duff, get serious about our lives, educate ourselves and our children, and get serious about participating in government. It doesn't mean everybody runs for office. And get out and vote. But it doesn't mean everybody has to run for office and be working like I do. That's not. I'm doing that for the people in my district, but I represent 40-some thousand people. So, get involved, but you don't have to. If you can't work, you can always give.
Exactly.
So,
open your checkbook.
Open your checkbook. And
check
give.
you out. Research. Get behind good quality people.
Correct.
That are running for office. It's a mess over there, folks. Capitol Hill needs people like Tim Utes to run for House of Representatives. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sue Jeffers, and this was We the People.